It's Friday night. You get in the car, you drive to a low blue and yellow building, and you push through the doors into a wall of light and plastic and possibility. New releases on the right, 3 copies deep, the good ones already gone, the smell of popcorn and carpet. You wander the aisles for 20 minutes holding a movie you're not sure about just to keep looking. You pick one, you hand over your membership card, and on the way out, a sticker reminds you, be kind, rewind. For about 20 years, that was movie night in America. The place was called Blockbuster. At its peak, it had more than 9,000 stores and 65 million members, and a new one was opening somewhere in the world roughly every single day. Today, there's exactly one left. One store in Bend, Oregon, the last blue and yellow sign on the planet. And here's the thing. You already think you know why Blockbuster died. You've heard it. They passed on buying Netflix. They were too dumb to see streaming coming. That story is wrong. The real reason is stranger and honestly a lot more tragic. Because Blockbuster didn't fail to see the future. It saw it, it beat it, and then it threw the whole thing away over an argument about one man's bonus. Let me show you what actually happened. It starts with a guy who didn't care about movies at all. David Cook ran a company that did computer software for the Texas oil industry. What he was actually good at was data, tracking huge amounts of inventory. So when he opened the first Blockbuster in 1985, his secret weapon wasn't the films. It was a barcode system that let a single store track thousands of tapes and crucially track exactly who had what and when it was due back. Remember that last part. It matters more than anything else in this story. The concept exploded. A businessman named Wayne Hugienzenza took it over and expanded like a man possessed, opening stores at a pace of about one a day. In 1994, the media giant Viacom bought Blockbuster for $8.4 billion. The little Texas video shop was now a piece of one of the biggest entertainment empires on earth. So now the obvious question, how did this place actually make its money? And the answer is the thing you hated, late fees. That dollar a day, that creeping guilt, that little stab when the clerk said, "You've got a balance on your account." That was not a minor annoyance on the side of the business. In 1 year alone, the year 2000, Blockbuster collected $800 million in late fees. Around a sixth of everything the company made came from customers messing up. Sit with how strange that is. Blockbuster's profits depended on punishing the people who loved it. The better behaved you were, the less money they made, which meant the company was quietly trapped. It had built an enormous machine that ran on customer pain, and it could not switch that machine off without blowing a giant hole in its own profits. The thing everybody hated wasn't a flaw in the business, it was the business. Now, the year 2000. 2 guys from a tiny, struggling startup fly to Dallas to beg for a deal. Their company is losing money, they can't see a way through, and they offer to sell the whole thing to Blockbuster for $50 million and run Blockbuster's little online operation for them. That startup was Netflix. And Blockbuster, according to the people in the room, basically laughed them out of the building. $50 million? To put that in perspective, that was roughly what Blockbuster spent in a single quarter just administering its late fees. They could have bought the company that would eventually destroy them for pocket change, and they thought it was a joke. That's the part everybody knows. That's where most versions of the story stop, with Blockbuster as the punchline. But it isn't the end. It's barely the middle, because a few years later, Blockbuster woke up. A CEO named John Antioco looked hard at Netflix, and unlike his entire industry, he got it. He understood exactly what was coming. So he did something that took real nerve. He launched Blockbuster Online to fight Netflix directly. And then, in 2005, he did the unthinkable. He killed late fees. Think about what that means. He walked up to the $800 million profit machine, the thing keeping the lights on, and he switched it off on purpose because he knew it was the only way to keep customers. It cost the company around $400 million to do, and he wasn't finished. In 2006, he launched Total Access, where you could rent a movie online and return it at a real Blockbuster store for a free exchange on the spot. Netflix physically could not copy that because Netflix had no stores. Only Blockbuster had both. And it worked. Before Total Access, Netflix was winning about 70% of all new subscribers, Blockbuster 30. Within weeks of the launch, that number flipped. Blockbuster was now taking 70%. Netflix was on the ropes. Reed Hastings, the head of Netflix, later admitted they were terrified. He said Blockbuster was throwing everything but the kitchen sink at them. And in response, a Blockbuster executive actually mailed Hastings a literal kitchen sink. For one strange, forgotten moment, Blockbuster was beating Netflix. The dinosaur had figured it out. It was winning. So what went wrong? Not Netflix. A boardroom. Because when Antioco was busy saving the company, a different kind of predator had shown up. His name was Carl Icahn, a famous Wall Street raider who bought a big chunk of Blockbuster and wanted the stock to go up now, not in 5 years. Now. And Icahn hated everything Antioco was doing. The expensive online push, the killed late fees, all of it was eating into short-term profits. Icahn wanted the pain machine turned back on. And here is where the entire future of how the world watches movies came down to something almost unbelievably small: a bonus. After a strong year, Antioco was owed a bonus of about $7.6 million. Icahn decided that was too much. And the fight over that one number turned so poisonous that in 2007, the man who had figured out how to beat Netflix walked out the door. His replacement was a former 7-Eleven executive who said out loud that he was frankly confused by this fascination that everybody has with Netflix. He gutted the online investment. He refocused on the stores, and the late fees quietly crept back in. So let that land. The one person who saw the future clearly, who had actually started winning the war, was pushed out over a $7 million bonus, and the company immediately turned around and walked straight back into the past. After that, it was just gravity. In 2007, Netflix launched streaming. Blockbuster was busy recommitting to shelves full of plastic discs. Then the 2008 recession hit. The company was buried under about $1 billion in debt, a lot of it inherited from its corporate empire days. In 2010, Blockbuster filed for bankruptcy. The scraps got sold off, and store by store all over the country, the blue and yellow signs came down. 9,000 stores gone in just a few years. So here's the machine underneath this one, and it's bigger than movie rentals. Blockbuster did not die because it was stupid or blind. That's the comfortable version, the one that lets us feel smarter than them. The truth is worse. Blockbuster died because it was a public company run for the next 3 months instead of the next 10 years. Its profit was hooked to a fee its customers hated, which trapped it. And the moment one leader was brave enough to break that trap and bet on the future, a board that only cared about this quarter's stock price threw him out and undid all of it. The villain in the Blockbuster story was never Netflix. It was short-term thinking. They saw the future, they reached out and touched it, and then they let go of it for $7.6 million. There's a small perfect ending to this. When John Antioco left Blockbuster, he sold his shares in the company, and he took that money and he invested it in Netflix. And there's still that one store, Bend, Oregon, the very last Blockbuster on earth. People fly in from around the world just to stand in it, to walk those aisles one more time, to feel like it's Friday night in 1998 again. You can even pay to sleep there overnight now, surrounded by the shelves. An empire of 9,000 stores, shrunk down to a single room people visit like a museum. Not because the world stopped loving it, but because the people who ran it wanted next quarter more than they wanted next decade. I still can't draw, but now you know what happened to Blockbuster.